Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soulpreneur Network. I am Kelly Geisler-Wilson, and I have a very special guest today. First of all, Jacque, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So today we are launching a three-part series. Jacque and I have known each other for quite a long time, and we're teaming up to bring to you something near and dear to my heart and Jackie's heart. And it is the three parts is why and how business is changing and business is doing. The old systems are changing, they're crumbling, and there's a new way of business. And that new way of business is heart, soul, and energy alignment. Part two is all going to be about the divine feminine and how that's showing up in the world right now. And part three is a very near and dear quality of the divine feminine. In my heart, it's one of my core values, which is collaboration. That's what Jacque and I are all about. So before we get started, Jacque, again, welcome. Can you introduce yourself to us? Tell us that you're bringing some special friends along in the conversation and who you serve.
Absolutely. I suppose I'll start with the last one, which is I serve anybody, any and every being in the world who wants to know the true light of who they are and how to live that. So for themselves and for the world, right? So I'm Jacque Nelson. The very special guests that I bring with me are a group of spirit beings. Actually, I've been channeling a group called the Mary Group since March of 2000. So we're coming up on our 22nd anniversary. They are extremely insightful and loving and funny. And just it's a blast to be with them. They're so deep, and it was so fun talking to Kelly about putting this together. So today you'll start with me, and I know they're just like sitting. They always say they have the loft view, and they're always happy to come through and talk with us. And this is one of their favorite topics to talk about, where we've been and where we're going and how to get there.
Yeah, it was so cool when we were prepping for this conversation. Jacque and I just saw all this alignment and all the synergy and all the sparks going off. Like, we need to talk about this. And that is what the Soulpreneur Network is all about. So in case you're first tuning in and you've never met me before, I'm Kelly Geisler-Wilson. I'm a business coach and a spiritual mentor for soulpreneurs. So if you are launching or growing your heart, soul, and energy aligned business, I'm your person to help you. And specifically, I also really, what's near and dear to my heart is helping soulpreneurs maximize their time, increase their impact, and also increase the value that they deliver in the market and to the people that they serve as well. And like Jacque said, we are all here to share our gifts and talents. And there's a different way of doing business. There's an emergent way of doing business. And I've seen it, Jackie's seen it, and we've all probably seen it if you're tuning in, which is, let's talk about the current paradigm or the old paradigm, which I generally call it the toxic masculine, but we could also call it the patriarchal. What is your viewpoint on it first of the old way of doing business? Let's call it that.
Well, the way that Mary might refer to it is in the energy of separation, and our true and original energy is union. And that's what we're leaning into. And of course, the divine feminine is a huge part of that. So separation, that and all those little characters and things in humanities that come with it, I suppose I would say.
So let's give examples of what that separation looks like. The first one I can think about is, there's so many of them. One is competition, that I need to be better than you.
Yeah.
I need to be more successful, which means I'm going to push you down so that I can rise higher. What's another example?
Well, and if I might add to that one, actually, one of the things the Marys talk about is that, they'll do this often, competition in its original energy before it got tangled with separation and distorted by that. True competition is actually to rise one another up. So it's really, doing your very best, gaining everything, getting into exactly what you want to create and cause and participate with and bring to the world, and then say, now you go and let me follow you. And now you go and let me follow you, and let us all rise together. So they always talk about rising up, not rising against. And gosh, the energy we save when we're not in competition, or when we're not coming from that false fear base that somebody's going to, there's only enough for some. And really, one of the things the Marys talk about, and I can feel them revving up to come in, is that one of the things that I might talk about in, even in the context of business, of course, is survival. that we all somehow think we're here to survive. And they say, and like people will even say, well, they broke the rule or they got past something. And the Marys will say, the rule is thriving. It's not something that you got over that and you got to break that. It's actually what we're all here to do is thrive. So in business, unfortunately, I think the way that it's been set up in separation is to say only a few get to win, only a few get to be happy. The whole privilege distribution, if you can have this, then you can get there. And how it confines us all and like really sucks our souls, anything from education to business to, living in social systems. Separation is just huge in humanity.
I love that. I already got a pen and paper out because I feel like I'm going to have an education today because we definitely use different language, which is totally cool. And I'm glad that you're catching those nuances and up-leveling those nuances. I do love that you said you started getting into lack, which I have no doubt is separation as well, too. Like there's only X amount of people that can be at the top.
Yeah.
That's not true either, right?
Just a moment.
Okay. Welcome.
And so bye guys. Love y'all. See you later. We just needed to come in. Yes, we have full permission. Yes, hello to you, Kelly. Hello. Everybody. We are so excited to be in this juicy conversation. Yes, so you might need to say, hey, Mary, zip it a little bit. Let me have a word. Yes, because we get so excited, and yet we want to talk about where that started. And it's actually with your second breath. So you come into your world, humans come into your world. Your first breath is absolutely the essence of your existence. It's your remembering and knowing your oneness self and the oneness of all. And then you take that second breath, and with that second breath, you start to inhale the breath of everything that is around you, which includes separation right now in your world. And that's what's happening as you're going through a very grand shift. You have all volunteered to be on your planet right now, to be part of humanity, releasing its inhumanity and remembering who you are. Yes. And so in that second breath, when we talk about that lack, you begin to need to know how to live in a world that you can't feel or sense your whole light in. Yes. So you start to look to how can I establish my existence and square off this space and have what I need, and so that I can replicate and know how to live in this energy as it is in its reduced state. And holy cow, let's stop doing that. Yes. And so it is, now you look at that, if that's happening in your first and second breath of your existence in the world, yes, and you can come into the most loving family or the most confused family or whatever it is, and you all get the same thing. Yes. And so now you carry that into your growing years and your social systems and your schooling and now work. So you've been carrying this idea that you have to figure out how to fit into something that's actually less than what you are and how to survive there. And it hurts. It hurts. And then people come in and say, well, let's control that. Let's, make sure that stays as long as we make sure we're up here. And privilege distribution was invented. We heard Jacque mention that. There's really no privilege distribution. There's certainly the practice of it, just as there's actually no division. Let that sink in for a moment. Looking at work context, looking at how people have hierarchies, and you get to do this and you get to talk to that person, but you better stay at your level, or you only get so far because you have this education or don't have that education, or you got the right opportunity or you didn't. And all of that practice of division and how it keeps you apart, and what it does is it stops you all from bringing your true great gifts to each other and to yourselves, and really causing and creating your world, what can be there. Yes. And so it is to really let it sink in. Wow, there's actually no division. So anywhere that I see or sense or feel that, or even created in my own inner world and operated in my outer world, it's not real. It's something we're just doing that isn't real. And so if you release that, now, we heard you talk about, businesses that have been built on that. And that's what's happening right now in your world, is people are saying, I'm not going to do it anymore. We spoke with some friends about, well, it's been several months ago now, in the midst of all of your grand change with COVID, which we could speak about for a while as an answer, yes, because it really catalyzed some things. We would offer to you that this is the time in your world. So often humans have come to almost crossing that thing that's not a divide, yes, almost realizing it's not real, and stopping, and you're not stopping. So if you're on this planet, you're part of the not stopping, no matter what role you're playing in that, no matter what your ideas are or what your beliefs are, you're playing a role. You're here to create the not stopping, particularly right now for this conversation about how business is run, and it is crumbling. One of the very first things we spoke about as we were had the joyful pleasure of coming to get to interact with humans. We love you all so much. Was that your current systems were built in separation, whereas you offered toxic masculinity, which we would offer as a great pain and illness of masculinity. It is as masculinity is as what would we say, corrupted, or not corrupted is, well, that's just one of the words used, is as broken, or not broken, but hurt, damaged, yes, insulted by the way things are going, as femininity is, as feminine, the grand divine feminine is. So it's time for all of you to break free of those limitations, break free of the lies, really, and step forward. And so all the systems, all your major systems, which include your work, places of work, and the way business is done, have to collapse. Here's the beautiful thing, though. You're not going to rebuild it from rubble. You can't rebuild anything from rubble. From an intimate relationship that falls apart, you can't rebuild from rubble. That's why often when people attempt, it doesn't work. And yet, if you clear that rubble, because that's not what you want to build anything from, and you reach down into the soil, the soul soil of what's underneath it, and you let that rise and birth it, that's where your future businesses are coming from. And the divine feminine is a tremendous part of that. Yes.
All right, you're answering all my questions. So what advice would you give us, the leaders that are leading this new paradigm?
Yes. So it is, for one, if you already feel and recognize and know yourself as a leader in this new paradigm, you already know everything. Yes. And yet you can be revealed many, many things and grow into it. So it isn't, oh, I know it all. That is the old paradigm. Yes. It is, I know that I always have something more to know. And absolutely every exchange I have within my internal communication and with anybody and everybody in the world and in my place of business or in my place in the world or whatever it is, I have something to know more about. And so one of the keys we would offer for a true leader is that you're very good at listening to yourself listen, because it causes great presence and actual connection, and it generates synergy and that rising one another up. A true leader does not say, I'm up here and I need to stay up here, so you need to stay down here. A true leader is at the round table and knows that. Yes.
I love that. And so what I'm also hearing, I want to highlight this again. So it's a slippery slope, right? Is it not? Like, it's a slippery slope. If you want to be in this role of rising a new consciousness through the vehicle of your business, right? To be and to check that alignment. I call it the integrity or the alignment piece of the truth of who you are. Yes. And working on your limits, working on, am I showing up as the hierarchy, as the leader that's leaving everyone behind me? Yes. Am I still using the toxic masculine strategies instead of blending the feminine and the masculine together?
Yes. So one of the things in that is to remember that in the universe, there's no measurement. So if you take, well, I measure who I am or who you are, what the value of that idea is, then you're causing, again, that lessening or that limitation of what's possible. Yes. As you're really stepping into, that divine feminine forward, which, we will crawl really into that with some of our future conversation. Yes. that is all about what is the interconnectedness and who are we really? Yes. And so it is really, who are we really? And to begin everything, by the way, with true human capacity. The thing we watch human capacity being utilized on and completely not hitting all of its true is to survive or to struggle or to make it through. Yes, you're really phenomenal at that. Yes, your fortitude is extraordinary. Yes, and those sorts of things. But you don't need to use your energy and fortitude. It's good to have it for a moment when you need it to like get through something. Yes, but it's never meant to be a way of living. Yes, and so it's to just a moment. It's to realize that absolutely everything in existence is of equal value. And if you bring that into your workshop, into your workplace, and into your way of interacting, then you're recognizing the value of the person in front of you, the value of yourself, which often gets bypassed also, yes? The value of that which you don't know yet, the value of that which you do. And you start looking at everything is through true human capacity. So if you were to put a big whiteboard on the wall as a leader, yes, and say, let's talk about all of the things that maybe aren't working or that we really want to change or make better or cause wonder into or know ourselves through, whatever it is your passion is about in the business that you're running, yes, or wanting to bring that service to the world. You put up all there, maybe where it's wonky or you just can't get past it, or you're coming up from all of the years that it's been abused, whatever it is. If you try to start with what the difficulty is, you can get little bits of places, but when you really want to put in true leadership and who you really are as soulpreneurs, yes, as you offered, that's just a wonderful vibrational word, by the way. And then you look at that, you begin by putting a circle in the middle of that whiteboard. And in that circle, it says true human capacity. Let's begin there. And when we begin there, realizing there's no division, and we begin there understanding the value of ourselves and one another, and we begin there knowing we are not building anything from rubble. We're reaching into the soul of things, yes, into the truth of what things are, and their vibrational essence, yes. Then and remembering who are we really, and what is our capacity. The idea, we call it idea party. Yes, the idea party that will explode. Yes, an opinion is a closed circuit. It's going to shut everything off. That's part of the old paradigm. That's my opinion. This is what I've decided. You're going to do it. Yes, it's harmful. It stops everybody. It mutes everything. Ideas, though, have no limitation. Yes, they're moving. They want to be fed by other things, and that sparks more ideas. So when you look at true human capacity and you look at it like, how do we begin to encourage and invite and the world to start recognizing the workplace as a continuation of what grows our souls and hearts and connectivity? Yes. If you start with where that's not happening or what's been injured in it, you're going to just keep adding to suffering in a way. Yes. You say, what's our true human capacity to do that? Who are we really? Yes. Now you're going to blow up with ideas, and everybody has a role. And if we might just give you a little bit of a piece of something, because this extrapolates into the business world. One of the things that we talk about is that is we call it an arc of union. Yes. And that's your internal community. So for arc of union, we will say heart, soul, spirit, minds, the thinking, processing mind, and the mind that is the connective into the all. Yes. And so when all of them can be in an argument, when they're not in good positioning together, or they're not valuing themselves or each other, and there's just chaos going on inside of humans. So often when your heart is fighting with your mind, or your spirit wants to be free. And in this instance, when we talk about spirit, it's your way of being. It's who you are. It's your way of existence. It's your light, your zest. Yes, that's your spirit of self. And yet, if it's being contained by a mind that just keeps talking about logic, yes, but doesn't talk about the heart of logic and the beauty of the heart and the soulness of things, yes. So you put them all together round table, and you say you all have equal space, and we're going to learn how you value yourself while the others listen, really listen, and listen to yourself listening. And so let's extrapolate that into a workplace for a leader, how a leader can work. Let's bring our team together.
Mhm.
And each team member is going to talk about, well, this is who I am, and this is the value that I have to offer, that I believe I'm bringing, and feels free to really do that. No awkwardness, no restraint. Just let it all out there. Admit who you are, yes?
Mhm.
Because humans don't do it, you know? You have a harder time admitting the wonder of who you are than, you know, the things you don't think are so shiny. Yes, that's
Yeah.
also interesting. And yet just admit who you are and what your value is, while the others listen. And no matter what your role is, and listen to yourself listening, yes? And start realizing who this person is and what they bring and how you can interact with them, yes? And then you get a role, and that all gets written down, and now it's your turn, and the others listen. Now you all really have an idea of what's possible with what we have here, and what do we want to fill in, and what do we want to shift. It's really, you know, and then it's a union. It's not an arc of separation. It's now you go do your thing. It's, who are we together? When you do it with your heart, soul, mind, and spirit, you will be absolutely, utterly amazed that when a project is on the table, now instead of the heart and mind cursing each other sometimes, yes, or saying, you never do your job, or I have to do everything, they're saying, wow, you have this and I have this. Let's put those things together. You take that part of it. That is the heart of leadership, true leadership, which there are many leaders, true leaders in your world, and not many of them are in positions currently of leadership. That's changing.
So, and again, let's get some clarity for the soulpreneurs that are leading their own business, right?
Yes.
They've already appointed themselves. I appointed myself as the leader of my business because
Absolutely.
I couldn't bring all of me to my previous position. I
Yes.
created a position for myself.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing, if it's correct, is again leading in that. Now I always said heart. Wait, what did I say? Heart, soul, mind, and what did I say here? Heart, soul, energy, and action alignment.
Okay.
You say
okay.
you add spirit to it as well. What would be the spirit piece of it? That's new for me.
Well, the spirit piece of it is what you couldn't bring to your other place, which is why you had a failure to thrive. Yes,
Okay.
you could do things, you could be happy, you could be successful, but you weren't thriving. Yes.
Right.
And so you finally came to a place of saying, I need to thrive. And to do that, my spirit, my way of existence, my essence, my passion,
All of me.
everything that I really am needs to be a part of this. Yes. Now we're going to tell you something about spirit, though, which is fascinating. It really doesn't have any self-preservation fear. Yes. So that's why it's really good to partner it with those other parts. Yes. Because it'll just go out there and do stuff. Yes. And let you clean up the mess. Yes. And so it's really good to partner, though. But when you try to stop your spirit, or if someone's working for you and you're saying, well, you get to do all of these things, but don't you dare bring your spirit here. That's dangerous. Yes. We would say poppycock. Yes. Perhaps it is like, that's the best thing. Imagine a school where a child walks in and that's what's valued the most. Who are you? What's your spirit? What do you bring? Yes. And then all the rest of the stuff we can all learn together. But what we really can gain from each other is what our spirit is, a workplace like that. So that's what we would offer to you. As you said, I have to live my spirit, which has your passion and your fearlessness. Yes. And your go do it and jump in. That's also what's going to create your success, because now you don't have to hold back because somebody at your place of work said you can't show up like that, or you can't talk to people like that. You can't. Don't. Is so boom, yes, to your spirit. And you said, I gotta breathe my own breath. Guess what? I'm not breathing the breath of the world anymore. I'm breathing my own breath, that very first sacred, wondrous breath that is my own, into every breath that I breathe, and bring that into the world and talk through it and think through it and gain through it and invite through it. Yes. That's why you're doing what you're doing. As you said, I can't repress my spirit anymore. Now, it doesn't mean you always have to do your own thing. Yes. It can mean I'm going to do that collaboration thing. I'm going to get together with some other people, or I'm going to find a way, led by my spirit, my fearless, no even self-preservation spirit, yes, to start talking to people where I am and helping them remember their own spirit. Now, some of that's going on and leading people to say, I'm not doing this anymore, having this repression and doing things that serve someone else, but do not fill or nurture me or most of the world. Yes. And yet you can also see businesses that are so hungry to actually have the shift of bringing the divine feminine, of bringing this true self, of bringing forth union energy, as we call it, into themselves. They want it. They just don't know what it is. So they keep trying to get it through old means. So you can be that voice, that movement that people are going, there's something different about you. And you can say, yeah, there is. And the thing is, there's something different about you. You want to know, you want to discover it. Yes. And there's something different about this company. People will start to say, yeah, there is. Do you want to discover what it is? That's what happens. It's contagious. Yes.
I love it. So I used to call, when I said soul, I was referring to the spirit. So maybe I combined the two. What do you refer to as soul?
Okay. So soul, we often offer is that pure fluid, golden oozing liquid that came from your first spark into existence. Okay. Yes. And so something excited you into existence, into this expression of being, and it birthed that soul. Yes. And gave it that beautiful uniqueness that is you. So that is why, often when we're talking to people and they're not knowing why they're in toil about something in this lifetime, they can't connect it to something because, you have a little soul leak. Yes. You might have something that's talking to you from a different expression of yourself in a different time. And yet, so you are, soul is the whole totality of everything that your particular strand of light is.
I love it. So my big aha moment from this conversation, if I can start summing it up, and I'm going to offer for you to close as well. And you nailed it, Mary's, you nailed it. And I really do want to highlight that and stress it. There are people right now that are waking up, if I can use that word, to say my current situation, my current reality is not containing all of me. And there is more of me that wants to come out, that wants to be shared, that wants to be expressed and shared in the capacity that it wants to be shared. So I want to give people the inspiration today to say yes to themselves, to say I don't have to live in separation anymore.
Yes. Well, and it is to say your yes is already there. By the time you crave it, you've been saying yes, or you're just waking to your yes. That craving is kind of waking you into it. What we will offer is sometimes the thing is you want that spirit to be in every part of your life. So someone has said, well, Mary, I have this job where I put a part in a part and I pass it down the line. And that really works for me because I do that. I feel like I'm in a stream of something. And then I spend all my spirit's energy on my, my family or on being in nature or having adventures. Whatever is your match there, again, everything is equal value. So if you start your own business and you're igniting souls and that's your thing, it has the same value as putting a part in a part and passing it down the line. If you're creating that in your life and that works for you, that's your niche, that's your thing to do. So be proud, embrace, be happy with who you actually are. Just don't lie to yourself about it. Yes. And also don't go into the ache. One little tip we give you. Okay, Mary, I really want to do something different. I don't know how to get there. You could say, I'm so in a bundle, and you can get way into don't want energy. I don't want to not be who I am, but I don't know how to get there. Yes. Don't want, no matter if you're saying, I don't want pickles on my sandwich to a server, to a waitress or someone who's coming to you. Yes. Or you're saying, I don't want someone to take my life away from me. Yes. They're both don't wants that are going to open up threat energy every single time. Every time you say I don't want, it opens up threat energy, which distorts you. And we could go into further about that. But for right now, we'll just talk about that. And then you get in a loop. You say, well, that's for someone else. And you kind of start practicing in privilege distribution. Well, that person got to do it because they had this, this, and this. What you're actually doing is saying, well, they had something, better circumstances that I do. You're agreeing to what's not true. Yes. So, hey, you know what? If one person can do it, it's not about the circumstances. It's about choosing to start with who are we really? What is my true capacity? And I can ignite and call to myself what I need. So it's to not, if you feel that don't want ache, come into your do. Well, what do I want? You know, just like when someone says, I'm against this, we say, just really, what are you for though? Because let's have that conversation, not about what you're against, what you're for. Let's eliminate against. It doesn't ever take you anywhere. So when you come into what I do want, that want is the original energy of that want has no ache in it, because it's actually the energy of open. What do I open? Even if I don't know what it looks like yet, or what the sense of it is. You started there at one point. You knew you didn't want what you were, but when it started to shift is when you started to really look at, I do want something, I'm just not quite sure what it is, but my craving is open. Yes. And so it's feeling that craving as a positive, wonderful guidance system to start noting what matches it and what doesn't, and going with that.
I started following the breadcrumbs. That's
yes.
what...
and the truth is, you left them there for yourself.
Aw, thank you. That's nice. Thank you.
And there's friends along the way that support you in it. So beautiful.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap up this conversation. Thank you so much. I'm in forever gratitude for the synergy and the creation that we co-created today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for who you are and for the invitation and all of the light you're igniting in the world.
Thank you. And we will talk more next week about the divine feminine.
Look forward to it. Very
okay.